What's up guys, Not2_ here, bringing you a top 10 Pokemon video, just like the good old days. There have always been some Pokemon that I've looked at and thought, wait, that turns into that? What? Why? And I'm sure a lot of you have had similar experiences. So, I've taken the top 10 evolution chains that I think are the weirdest to make Not2_'s 10 weirdest Pokemon evolutions. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Number 10. Shroomish and Braylon. Okay, so if you look at Shroomish, you see a mushroom, and not much else. It's a mushroom with a face and legs, and has a pretty simple design. Then move on to Braylon. Its limbs and tail look like a kangaroo's, there's a beak for some reason, it's got claws, and even though there's some mushroom-like features on the tip of its tail and under its hood, it's tough to see how something so basic can become such a collage of body parts. It looks cool, sure, but going on design alone, I feel like there should be some sort of missing link between Shroomish and Braylon. I definitely see a bit of relation between these two, but they're just different enough to be put on this list. Number 9. Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Politoed. These three show what happens when Pokemon get alternate evolutions long after they're designed. Poliwag and Poliwhirl look just like each other, and Poliwhirl actually looks like a Poliwag that's done some metamorphosis. It's grown larger, lost its tail, has arms and hands now, and its eyes have moved to the top of its head. The resemblance between these two Pokemon is clear, and after Poliwrath was made as the sensible conclusion to the trio, Politoed came along and ruined it all. You can tell that the designers tried a little to make this thing look like its predecessors, with a spiral on its stomach and similarly drawn eyes, but the similarities end there. I get that this evolution chain is supposed to represent the life cycle of a frog, but they could have done way better here. For some reason, Politoed's entire body changes color upon evolution, and other than these two things I mentioned earlier, it looks nothing like Poliwag and Poliwhirl. Yes, frogs look different than Poliwags when they metamorphise, but not this much. That's too much metamorphosis, guys. Stop it. You're freaking me out. At least making Politoed blue would help the situation here, but it looks like the awkward stepmom of the group, clearly not related to its family and trying its best to cover that up. Number 8. Geodude, Graveler, and Golem. Sort of like the last group, these three really only get weird in the final evolution. Geodude's got one of the most creative Pokemon designs ever. This rock has 2 arms and a face. Just try to wrap your head around that, alright? When it evolves, Geodude grows 2 more arms for some reason and a pair of legs. It gets bigger, looks stronger, and overall, Graveler could definitely be something that comes from Geodude. But then Golem happens. I don't think anyone really agreed on what they wanted here. The extra pair of arms Graveler has is totally gone, and instead of having its face drawn onto a rock, Golem's got a full-on head. Like, skull and all. The arms and legs are even clawed now, and the whole thing just looks like a lizard stuck in a ball of crusty poo. Even Bulbapedia doesn't know what this thing is, stating under the origin section that Golem is probably based on a turtle. Like Braylon, Golem is a ton of ideas thrown at the wall and stuck together, and while the overlying theme of rock stays solid in this evolution line, I just have no idea why it ends like this. Number 7. Pineco and Fortress. Next up are the Pokemon I just learned are referred to as the Bagworm Pokemon. If you're about to Google Bagworm like I did when I found this out, let me do you a favor and show you what a Bagworm is. Gross, I know. These mucousy pine needles are actually a bug protecting itself using the natural environment, which sounds like a pretty cool concept for a Pokemon. It's too bad that due to its name and design, I just thought Pineco was an animate pinecone until now. Another fun fact about this thing, if you shake the tree it's resting in, Pineco will fall down on you and explode. This thing is basically a living hand grenade, and quickly climbing up the badass scale as you read more about it. However, its evolution, Fortress, doesn't really relate to it at all. Fortress is also a bagworm, inhabiting a nut or a clamshell. It shoots pieces of its inner shell from the cannons it's got along its sides, and as badass as this is, what does it have to do with Pineco? These things are both astoundingly cool when you actually figure out what they are, but they look so different you'd barely link them to each other. Besides being bagworms that like to blow stuff up, Pineco and Fortress are totally separate. And what happens when it evolves? Does the bagworm crawl out of the pinecone and into whatever Fortress is? Because that's not evolution, that's a vacation. Badassery aside, this is definitely one of the weirder Pokemon evolutions. Number 6. Snorin and Glalie. Can we please take a moment here to say, "Oh, that's the cutest little ice baby in existence, I want it!" Because those were my first thoughts upon seeing Snorin. It's based on a Yukinko, a tiny adorable spirit in Japanese mythology that comes out when it snows, and Snorin's wearing the warmest little straw coat you ever did see. So, what's this thing turn into? What was Game Freak's plan for this little cutie? Oh lord, what is that? Glalie is a floating head demon that just looks like it wants to eat you. Why? Why does he turn into that? Sweet Jesus, I don't have time for this. Moving on. Number 5. Magikarp and Gyarados, and Phoebus and Melodic. Alright, most diehard Pokemon fans know why Magikarp evolves into Gyarados, and I'm right there with you, but let's empathize with the noobs watching here and pretend we didn't get this information somehow. On one side of the screen, we've got a pathetic little red fish, roasted in every Pokedex entry it's got. It's called weak, useless, pathetic, and it doesn't have any redeeming qualities. On the other, we've got a terrifying sea serpent / Chinese dragon that looks like it came from every iteration of hell there could possibly be. It's a total badass, does great in battle, and is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. How does one become the other? It's a joke, right? It's gotta be a joke. Actually, no. I'm too lazy to write out this reason for myself, so I'll just copy Bulbapedia here. Magikarp's evolution into Gyarados is based on a legend about how the carp that leapt over the Dragon Gate would become dragons. Several waterfalls and cataracts in China are believed to be the location of the Dragon Gate. This legend is an allegory of the drive and efforts needed to overcome obstacles. Oh, and I mentioned Phoebus and Melodic at the start of this entry because they're pretty much the same thing. The only difference is you can evolve Magikarp way easier and Gyarados can Mega Evolve, effectively making these two suck in comparison. Number 4. The Dragonite, Tyranitar, and Salamence lines. These three are all sharing one spot because they follow the same weird formula when it comes to evolution. Thing A is really weak and hard to level up, but at some point in the late 30s it becomes Thing B, which for Dratini and Dragonair makes total sense, and for the other two is kind of like a larva to cocoon effect. After a lot of hard work with Thing B, which is pretty mediocre in battle, you're finally rewarded with Thing C, a revered pseudo-legendary that'll crush your enemies and make them wish they never made fun of Thing A in middle school. My question, as usual, is why? I guess it could be seen as another allegory for the benefits of hard work since it's so difficult to get these borderline game-breaking Pokemon. But why is there basically one of these in every game, and why is it that only the first three have such drastically different evolutionary changes? Gabite looks fairly like Garchomp, Xyleus like Hydreigon, and Sliggoo like Goodra. But why am I looking at two cocoons and a random snake over here? It's just so full of patterns yet still random, and believe it or not, there's 3 groups of Pokemon even weirder than these. Number 3. Carablast to Escalator and Shelmet to Axelgor. Taking the bronze medal and weirdness are the evolutionary lines from Gen 5 that were linked together by trading, for some reason. For those who don't know, Shelmet and Carablast are version-exclusive Pokemon from Black and White, which evolve into Axelgor and Escalator respectively, but only when you trade them with each other. This is a really unique and bizarre feature, adding a whole new dimension to Pokemon that evolve by trade. What's even more bizarre is the fact that Escalator looks like Shelmet and Axelgor looks like Carablast. The first pair has a medieval armor thing going, while the second two, well, I don't know, they're squishy. Apparently Carablast steals Shelter's helmet when they're being traded, leaving Shelter squishy and giving armor to Carablast, but this just seems weird. Where did Escalator get its lances? Why not make these Pokemon evolve into the other's final form by level, getting rid of all the confusion here? There's also a theory that these 4 are based on the concept of coevolution, where 2 species influence each other's evolution. I guess that means if you're a beetle that eats a bug in a helmet, you'll turn into something wearing a helmet? It's a real head-scratcher and definitely merits a spot high on this list. Number 2. Execute to Executor. Alright, we probably all saw this one coming. For some reason, this group of 6 eggs with faces on it, another amazing Pokemon design by the way, becomes a 3-headed coconut tree. And now it's getting in Alola form. Ah, by the scraggly beard of Ken Sugimori, that's weird! I myself had no clue what was going on here until very recently when I saw a video by Gaijin Goomba on the subject. Executor is based on Jinmenju, the human face tree of 18th century Japanese mythology. This tree has faces growing out of it, just like Executor does, and the faces talk, just like Executors do. There's some nightmare fuel for you. Every now and again, a face will drop off of Jinmenju and Executor, and that face greatly resembles the eggs that make up Execute. So basically, Executor is a demon tree that grows human faces, which sometimes drop off of it to form Execute. Yeah, that translates really well into a global audience of children. Obscure ancient Japanese mythology. So, this has to be the weirdest Pokemon evolution, right? There can't be anything weirder than this. Nope, just one more left until we've made it to the end. And the number 1 weirdest Pokemon evolution is... I've got a tight budget going on here. It's Remoraid and Octillery! This evolution is the poster child of weird Pokemon evolutions and was at the top of several other lists I watched when making this video. Oh, by the way, these videos tend to get way more views and way more hate than the other videos on channels I found. So, if you're a random internet person who's seething at the end of this video, thanks for sticking around. Hopefully I got all my facts straight, unlike those poor unfortunate souls that went off guesswork and personal experience. This tangent's gotten too long. Anyway, Remoraid and Octillery is one of the most cited weird Pokemon evolutions ever. This is because, well, look at it. It's a weird-ass fish thing that becomes an octopus. Nobody sees that coming. But, as the internet figured out, the relation between these Pokemon isn't through biology or nature or facts. That'd be silly. If you were expecting Pokemon evolution to be anything like the real-life version, you deserve this surprise, you dingus. Remoraid and Octillery are the same evolutionary chain because they're both weapons. Duh! Can't you obviously see from looking at Remoraid from 2 seconds that it's a pistol? Or that Octillery is a cannon? Man, you should be ashamed of yourself, not drawing abstract conclusions from next to no evidence. But seriously, this is a really creative and interesting concept for a Pokemon evolution, and after doing the research, I'm really impressed by Game Freak's ability to make such creative creatures, and I hope this creativity continues in the future. Ah, geez, I'm just noticing my hair's too organized in this video. That's better. So, thank you guys so much for watching this top 10 video. I really enjoy making these, and it gives me a lot of payoff when they do well. And if you like this video, I've got a couple more like that here, or if you like some other random comedy stuff, I got plenty here. So, getting these thumbs way up in those annotations right now. That was a bad joke to make. Before you click away, I just want to say that in this next week before Halloween, I'm going to be great with posting. I know I said in an update video like 3 weeks ago that I would get this out the day after that, and that keeps me up at night. So for the entire week before Halloween, that's this Monday onwards, I'm going to be posting spoopy gameplay with Max, and it's going to be great, and you're going to like it, and I hope you all have a good time. Bye.